All right, this is a review and analysis of Scene 1 of Death and the King's Horseman. I'm going to start with the author's note, just so that people get a sense of where this starts. The play is set in Nigeria in 1946, and it's based off of, it's actually actual events from 1946. It's actually, the setting of the play is about 1943, because the author wants to set it during World War II for what he calls the dramaturgy. Basically, he needs to have the ship blow up in the harbor in scene 3 so we can establish part of Olunde's character. And talk about like suicide versus mass suicide. So the events take place in the ancient city of Oyo, the Yoruba city of Nigeria, in 1946. Some people in my second period asked the crazy question of, are these people African? Yes, this is an African play, okay? The British presence in the play is from Simon Pilkings, his wife Jane, and anybody associated with the British government. So the prince, the resident, the aide-de-camp, everybody else, Ayaloja, Olunde, Ellison, the women, the girls, they're all African. Okay, we have to establish that part. The author also wants you to know that this is not a black versus white dilemma. This is a dilemma in the heart of Ellison Oba. It's a dilemma for the tragic hero. The fact that his tragic flaw is that he cannot commit the deed of ritual suicide in time to save his community. The presence of the British there, the white people, is just a mere catalyst to the fact that Ellison can't do this thing on time. Now, in my opinion, if Ellison, if the British presence wasn't there, Ellison would have taken his sweet time, yes, but he would have probably gone through with it. And we would not know this story. It's actually a true story. And this is a real ritual that the ancient tribe in Nigeria used to practice. So the author really, really wants you to know that this is not just a color thing, as Jane says, that it is the recipe of tragedy, that the tragic hero has a tragic flaw. His tragic flaw is inaction. It is greed for the culture, the British culture, which has given him so much, or his own culture, which has given him so much. And it's a coming together of all of the things in tragedy that lead to its downfall, or the city, which is in this case the tribe. Okay. So back to scene 1. So scene 1 is Ellison's last day, his last day on Earth. And the whole play, the running time of the whole play is about 12 hours. It starts about 5 o'clock in the evening when Ellison's in the market. And he wants to get all he can before he has to leave the Earth. So he and the praise singer, who is kind of like his best friend at this point, are going through the market, and they want all of the nicest things, including new clothes. But then Ellison sees this woman, and we know this is like the first example of victimization of the feminine, in the fact that she is called an object. So within the first couple pages of the play, talks about an object appearing off stage. Well, the object is the woman, and the woman is Ayaloja's son's fiance. But see, Ayaloja she cannot not give the woman to Ellison, because she doesn't want to be the one to throw the city into the abyss. As she and the women say, for a while we feared our hands had wrenched the world adrift into emptiness. Well, that's the abyss. That's the breaking of the culture. References to the abyss and wrenching the world into emptiness, and how the praise singer says, if the world leaves its course and smashes into the boulders of the great void, who will give us shelter? These are all questions about what happens when a culture or a city collapses. They're all worried about Ellison not being able to do this thing. Clearly, they have been around him and they know his person. They know what kind of person he is. One of the significant pieces in scene 1 is the introduction of the not-I bird. The not-I bird is literally death. And then Ellison gives little vignettes of people who death came knocking and they said, oh, not I. They were not ready to die. Like the farmer, the hunter, the courtesan, his kinsman, so his friend Ifawomi, the couriers, basically someone who delivers things. Ellison says even the animals were scared of the not-I bird. But then he goes on to say, I am master of my fate. My soul is eager. I will not turn aside. I am ready for death. Is he? That's the big question. The question that hangs over this play is, would Ellison actually have committed suicide, as he was supposed to do, if the British were not there? I think he would have, but again, a tragedy is a genre in which all of the things come together to create the rest of the blowing up of the city. Let's see. I think that's at the end of the scene. Ialosia gives Ellison several warnings about leaving things good when you leave the earth. She talks about how mice don't leave their poop in like their children's mouths. We don't step outside and taste ashes in the morning. Ants don't desert their home and they don't wreck the mound. And that birds don't ruin their nests when they leave. And she's saying, you do not need to ruin the nest either. And Ellison says, you mistake my person. And she's like, whew. In fact, the stage directions say exasperated. Ellison's exasperated. They're both exasperated. And Ellison's going to get what he wants.